Order the Tuesday, May 23rd council meeting to order. Mr. Ayer, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Lees, will you call the roll?
Mr. Ayer,
Present.
Mr. Boyce,
Present.
Mr. Davis,
Present.
Mr. O'Connor,
Here.
Mr. Peterson,
Present.
Mr. Schwartz, Mr. Sparks,
Present.
Ms. Wiles,
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Present.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Approval of the executive session memorandum from May 9th.
Move to approve. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve our executive session memorandum from May 9th. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. Approval of the minutes for our May 9th meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve our minutes from our May 9th meeting. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. Approval of the agenda.
Mr. President, I move to postpone the new ordinance for discussion 150523 until our next regular meeting.
And a rest
Second.
is submitted.
Correct, yes. There's a motion and a second to postpone new ordinance for discussion number 150523 to our next regular meeting and approve the agenda, the rest of the agenda as submitted. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended
Mr. President,
As amended.
as well?
I would move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. This is also a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0.
Sorry, I thought we did that all at once.
You're good. Petitions or comments by citizens who are present, I do not have any, but if you would wish to speak, there are slips of paper right outside those doors, and you can hand those to Ms. Lees, and we will call you up when your item is discussed. Council committee reports. Ms. Wiles with Downtown District Committee.
Yes, I have too many pieces of paper here. The Downtown District Committee met on Wednesday, May 17th, with Brian Ayer, Darren Peterson, Aaron Smith, and myself. I was present electronically, and Mr. Smith led the meeting in person, but thank you very much. We had a status of funds with Mr. Aaron Head sharing with us that some expenditures have been made so far this year, and we have a balance of about $328,000. We are still looking at two projects to be implemented this year. The first is the four-way signal flashers and changing those over to decorative poles, and then looking at some other options with downtown streets names and signs. Mr. Rodewall will come to us with a true estimate on what those four-way flashers will cost, and the council will approve that expenditure in the coming meetings. We talked through some old business with the Our Town Grant and Alley activation, and work continues in the South Alley and programming for the lights, which should be done very shortly. Ms. McGill from Nickel Plate Arts, who we have contracted with to help us with our Cultural Arts District and some of our other National Endowment Arts programs, she has offered to help follow the grant reports. And we discussed the consideration of kind of a phase 2 of alley activation. And we'll be looking at what that looks like for the coming years. There was discussion regarding the challenges of deliveries and parking and trash in the downtown area for residents and businesses. So we want to make sure that we're really taking all that into consideration as we look for other alley activations. There was a request about consideration of school mural, and we decided that we really are working with Ms. McGill and Nickel Plate Arts to work through that whole process. So we tabled that. And then we heard some development project updates. The Village of Federal Hill, Mr. Head shared with us that the skywalk over in Nixon is under construction. So if you drive by that, you're seeing that starting to come to fruition. And Ms. Reese stated that the commercial and residential spaces of Village of Federal Hill should be open in the fall of 2023, which is very exciting. And then the other great news is that the Nickel Plate Trail is under construction, and that the Allison Road Bridge has been painted and some additional lettering that will enhance and really recognize it as the nickel plate will be added to that, and that the trail should be open by Labor Day. And with that, that is the report. If anyone else would like to add anything.
I just wanted to add that the Nickel Plate Trail, although it's not open yet, a lot of people have been out on it, and we've had some safety concerns. Just a reminder, it's not open yet. It'll be open soon, and I can't wait, but let's be careful
Safety concerns because of the bridges.
because of the bridges and
Right.
people
Yes.
on the trail
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
construction. And
Right,
Yeah.
thank you, yes.
And the only other thing that I was gonna add was those 3 four-way flashers, that is downtown Noblesville to replace the flashers that are at 10th and Clinton, 10th and Hannibal, and
Ninth,
9th and Maple.
9th and Maple.
yeah.
And to make those uniform and match the aesthetic that we have put in place for downtown. So that's what we mean by decorative.
Thank you very much.
What color will they be?
Will they be black?
They will be black. They
Yes.
will be black to match the
To
street
match
poles, the
the
street lights.
Yes,
Because we've not talked about street lights for quite a while.
yes, so bringing
True.
that back. Any other questions for Ms. Wiles? Okay, we'll move on to Finance Committee, Mr. O'Connor.
Mr. President, Finance Committee met May 18th. Not a long, well, the meeting went on for a while because we had some good conversation about the '24 budget, but one of the first item we ran through was a Hyde Park, a resolution, which is on the agenda this evening, so I'll let Amy talk more about that specific resolution. The '24 budget revenue forecast was really interesting from a revenue growth perspective. The lit revenues are coming in at a much higher level than perhaps we had anticipated. It's all good news from a forecasted revenue perspective. The AV growth has been higher than what I think we may have anticipated, so we're gonna need all that revenue as we continue to grow, and we're gonna need to put in additional infrastructure, but there was no bad news in the forecasting. We'll see how close those numbers come in. There were a few budget adjustments that will be coming forward. One thing that you'll see is the implementation of the SAFER grant. We may have to do some appropriations there to support that, but that again is good news. That's money that we use for firefighters, and as you will remember, and we reviewed the interlocal agreement has to do with one-time distribution of the county public safety income tax revenues. You recall the county instituted a 1/10 of 1% tax to support the PSAP, or the public safety answering point equipment. I think it's really a public safety lit. So we are going to get a portion of that, approximately $787,000. So Mr. Kennett, our public safety director, talked through that, and that's welcome news. That's money we can use for some of the other equipment that we use to support our public safety folks. So we reviewed the claims. They come with a favorable recommendation, and that was the meeting.
Any questions for Mr. O'Connor? If not, can I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move to approve the claims.
Second,
There's a motion and a second to approve the claims. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. Previously discussed ordinances. Council to consider ordinance number 13-04-23, an ordinance annexing approximately 40 acres south of East 191st Street, west of Pebblebrook Golf Course, and approximately 650 feet east of Moontown Road, known as Pebblebrook Crossing Planned Development in Noblesville Township. Ms. Yelt.
Good evening. Development Services Manager with the Planning Department. As you may recall, we've had this discussion about this annexation for approximately the last month. Again, this is adjacent to the Pebblebrook Golf Course. It is approximately 40 acres. It will be for the construction of 76 single-family dwelling units. It is obviously known as Pebblebrook Crossing. It is a super voluntary annexation. We previously adopted the fiscal analysis plan, and we also held a public hearing, so we are ready for a vote on this evening.
Any questions for Ms. Yelton? Okay, this is a matter of public hearing for ordinance number 13-04-23. So I will open the public hearing for ordinance number 13-04-23.
Mr. President,
Ms. Wiles?
seeing no one come forward, I would move that we close the public hearing for 13-04-23.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to close the public hearing for ordinance number 13-04-23. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0.
Mr. President, I would move to approve ordinance 130423.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 13-04-23. This is a roll call vote.
Sorry, I'm
Yep.
we need to wait 14 days after the
Did we not have the public hearing on this 2 weeks ago? I believe we did.
I just want to make, because it's okay, it's just 14 days after the public hearing, we have to wait 14 days before we can adopt, so if the public hearing is tonight,
Democracy in action.
No.
Okay. I think it was supposed to happen at our last meeting. Okay.
we held the public hearing, it was advertised at the last meeting. Sorry, explain to me. It was not advertised for tonight, it was advertised for the last meeting.
I don't know why I'm so confused now.
So what I suggest
Okay.
to do is, if we held a public hearing at least tonight, we can go back and look at when the notice was advertised. If it was properly moved to tonight, if it wasn't, we could just re-advertise it, hold a public hearing at the next meeting, close that down, and then until the following meeting to adopt. But we can check, if we're good on the notice for tonight, then this public hearing would be sufficient, and then we can bring it for adoption at the next meeting.
Yeah, I thought it was for the last meeting.
Yeah, well, and so if it were noticed in the newspaper for a prior meeting, at that meeting, if it's announced that it has been continued to another date, then you wouldn't have to renotice it. Okay. So I mean, what I would suggest you do is renotice it for the next council meeting, hold a public hearing again at the next council meeting.
Evelyn, do you want-
Close it down and then you can adopt. Checking the minutes.
Okay. Trying to help him.
I didn't see that.
As usual, Mr. Ayers, not very helpful. Trying,
Hey, just trying to do my best.
but he is on time tonight, so that's
I
good.
did show up.
We can do that. Is that okay?
That's great.
We do have a motion and a second. Do we need to unwind that at all? Or? I'd like to withdraw my motion.
Okay, so for the next one, do we need to
Do we need to postpone that?
postpone that one
Yep.
as well?
Was it noticed for tonight?
It would be the
It would have been the
same,
same.
the same
It
situation.
would have been the same thing.
We're never gonna get these annexations done.
Yeah. Was it
on there forever.
We can, was it tabled at the, during
No.
the meeting?
It was not tabled.
It never came on the
No,
agenda.
one on
It wasn't even on the agenda, it doesn't look like.
Neither one of them.
So what I would
When we
recommend
introduced
is that when that happens,
that we established.
you could take a motion to table it until the following meeting,
And we've
and then you would not have to republish a notice.
Right.
Yeah,
We're just not it's supposed to be.
it's okay. It's understood. Sorry.
What do you think? So do we need a
I can
motion
come
to
back and
postpone?
visit you guys in 2 weeks. It's great.
3 weeks.
You love being
3
here. It's
weeks.
fine.
That doesn't make any difference. I'll come back.
This ordinance and the next one should be postponed to the second meeting,
Second meeting or first meeting?
the 27th. We will have a public hearing on June 13th. And then we will vote on the ordinance June 12th.
Okay.
Mr. President, I move to postpone 130423 and 140423 until the June 27th meeting. Second meeting in June.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to postpone ordinances number 1304-23 and 14-04-23 to our second regular meeting in June. Is this a hand vote or a hand vote? All those,
Second, you gotta get a second first.
You got
there
one.
was a second.
Okay, sorry.
Yep, and a second. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0.
Thank you.
That's exciting.
Okay. Moving on to miscellaneous number 1, council to consider resolution RC-25-23, a resolution approving a declaratory resolution and economic development plan of the redevelopment commission establishing the Noblesville Hyde Park Economic Development Area and the order of the plan commission related thereto. Mrs. Smith.
Good evening. The resolution is a step to carry out the commitments of the Economic Development Agreement with MAB Capital Investments for the Hyde Park project that was approved last year. As a reminder, Hyde Park is located immediately west of Hamilton Town Center and includes approximately 274 acres in and around 136th Street, Brook School Road, Campus Parkway, and Bowdoin Road. As part of the project, the city has agreed to issue up to $480 million of TIF bonds that the developer will purchase. Proceeds of the bond will be used for public infrastructure, including roads, bridges, drainage, park improvements, et cetera. This resolution before you approves a declaratory resolution, economic development plan to establish the Noblesville Hyde Park Economic Development Area, which was approved by the Redevelopment Commission in December, and also the Plan Commission order that was approved at the May 15th Plan Commission meeting. This was presented to Finance and did receive a favorable recommendation, and so I would ask for your approval, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from this one? Mr. O'Connor?
Not a question, Amy, that was very nice. I asked Sarah in the Finance Committee meeting to get an update for us, and I think the Finance Committee members got the update, but I'll send it to everybody else so you can review it. I was just curious about the activity. If you go out there, there's a lot of dirt moving, there's a lot of things happening. Everything appears to be on track from a time perspective, so I just thought I would share that. I'll send this email around to everybody that hasn't seen it, just so you can have the update.
Yes, there have been, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
There have been 4 projects approved for this area. J.C. Hart, Edward Rose, Berkla, and then Empire Development, and those are all in the process of somewhere in the development plan submittal. So,
They all appear to be on track. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution RC-25-23.
Second?
There's a motion and a second to approve resolution RC-25-23. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. Thank
very
you.
much.
Miscellaneous number 2, resolution approving an interlocal agreement with Hamilton County concerning a one-time distribution of public safety income tax proceeds. Mr. Unger.
Good evening, Steve Unger. Again, Bose McKinney and Evans, filling in for John Hughes as best I can. As Councilmember O'Connor mentioned in the Finance Committee report, the county has a public safety or a PSAP lit they're going to do a one-time distribution of funds to the other taxing units that provide public safety services. There's about $1 million that they're going to distribute. There's a calculation that they use. It's attached to the agreement. So what we're asking for tonight is by resolution approval of the interlocal agreement for that distribution. As Councilmember O'Connor said, about $787,000 of that will come to Noblesville. You guys, once the agreement's signed, the county will transfer the funds, and then you will need to come back and appropriate those funds at some point.
Thank you very much. Questions?
Mr. Knet's already assured me that he has things he wants to do with that money, so.
Do you have any context that you'd like to share on this?
Good evening, council. Thank you. Chad Knet, Director of Public Safety. So it's a unique opportunity. As we know, public safety and communications, that interoperability of communications is what the public safety lit's designed for. And when people think of that, and they think of PSAP, they think of just that one location and where the radios are. But with the interconnectivity that's needed today between our police officers, our firefighters, our medics, our emergency management agency, and during crisis and even normal day-to-day operations, that interoperability between cities and county agencies in our northern community is just invaluable. And those fees, it becomes more and more expensive as computers, software, body-worn cameras, in-car computers, all of those things enhance that communications process and their ability to communicate from place to place, person to person, like I say, during day-to-day operations as well as a crisis. Note the formula for finding the funds for that becomes more and more complex, but each city has unique problems, and each city has unique budgets and ways to acquire those problems to address their citizens the most effectively. And what this one-time distribution does is it takes that excess, that additional funding that's available within that public safety lit and makes it available to the cities in the northern community and the Sheriff's Department Emergency Management to use those funds to buy those unique items and then come back for appropriations on the council to actually tailor-make the response for their jurisdiction while ensuring the interoperability of that PSAP and the true nature of what the lit is.
Thank you. Mr. Boyce?
Can you tell me how it is divided between each of the local entities?
There is a formula, and council may be better at.
Yeah, there is a formula by I know there's a formula in the statute for when there's excess lit for public safety purposes, how it's distributed. I've not done the calculation myself. I did talk to Mr. Hughes about that. My understanding is that's the formula essentially that was used. It is attached to the agreement though, the formula and the distributions to all of the taxing units.
Gotcha.
And in a nutshell, I can tell you it's based upon department size, population, geographic area, and run load. So there's a formula that takes all four of those factors together and multiplies
I know
them.
the other one, the amount we pay into the public safety is mainly by run load and number of calls, right? So-
Yes, yes, and this takes into account all of those things, but when you look at some jurisdiction, they may have a smaller run load, but actually have a larger geographic area with more communications obstacles, and we certainly want to make sure that they're still taken care of. So this formula makes it as fair and equitable across jurisdiction and discipline as possible to make that communication sound.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. President?
Go ahead, Ms. Wiles.
I would move that we approve Resolution RC-26-23 as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the interlocal agreement with Hamilton County. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. Miscellaneous number 3, council to consider an appointment to the Parks Foundation Board. Council gets an appointment, and we are appointing Jason Pearson to the board. He is one of the minds behind Front Porch Music Fest on Logan Street and has been a very active community member, especially in the Old Town area. So he was recommended to us, and I think that he would serve well.
I would move to approve the appointment of Jason Pearson to the Parks Board Foundation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to appoint Jason Pearson to the Parks Foundation Board. This is a hand vote. 8-0. Thank you very much. Mr. Unger.
Sorry to interrupt. Joyce Ann said she went down and checked the notice, and that the notices were for tonight for the public hearing. So if you guys are comfortable with it, if you want to go ahead and proceed, we could go ahead and hold I'd rehold the first public hearing, go ahead and then hold the second public hearing, and then you'll be in a position to adopt those ordinance still at next month. Sorry to interrupt on that, but
Somebody needs a motion to open the public meeting.
We need to hold both the public hearings and then make a new motion to vote on these ordinances at the next meeting, which you've already approved.
Okay.
Yeah. but this will be the
So we
first public
rescind the motion.
Yeah, so
of
we have
postponing these
to,
for two.
We'd like to
Dan's like-
rescind the motion to postpone these to the second meeting in June.
you have to say which ones.
130423 and 140423.
Second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to rescind our vote to move 130423 and 140423 to our second meeting in June. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0.
So
Okay,
then,
so then,
we need
We
to go
go-
back and open.
yes,
I
so
would make a motion to open that.
You can go ahead and do the motion to vote on these ordinances at the next meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. Wild.
I
Well,
would-
do we just do 13? Because do we need to go through the motion of doing 14?
Public hearings first, if you would like.
Okay.
Can I make a comment? Just, there were a couple of people that got up and left when we did this originally. I'm uncomfortable.
He was the owner of the property.
Okay,
right.
thank you.
And then Mr. Rio,
Okay, thank you. With that said, we opened and closed 130423 already once tonight. Do we need to do it again?
no, we don't need to on
Okay.
on 130423 because we didn't have this discussion until after that public hearing, so I'm okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that public hearing all got done,
Okay.
so we just need the second one.
Mr. President, I would move to open the public hearing for ordinance 140423. Yeah,
I have to do it.
okay.
Oh, you can do it? Okay.
to open it up.
I'm going to open the public hearing for ordinance number 140423.
Mr. President,
Mr. Royce.
seeing no one coming up to speak about ordinance 130423, I would make, or, sorry, 140423, I would make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second,
There's a motion and a second to close the public hearing for ordinance number 140423. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0.
Mr. President, I would
Wow.
move that we consider voting on these ordinances of 130423 and 140423 at our next meeting in June.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to postpone approving ordinances number 130423 and 140423 until our next regular meeting in June. Is this a hand vote? No. Yes, hand vote. All those in
Need a
favor?
second?
second.
Mark
I already
seconded.
seconded.
Mark already
Yeah.
seconded. Yeah. It's a
you
hand
want to?
vote.
No.
Everybody raise
Are
your
you
right
sure?
hand. Everybody raise your right hand if you're in agreement. Great.
This is our first meeting, right?
Wow.
Have we ever done this before?
Never, it's never been done.
Okay. I think we are now back to council comments. If anybody has any after that.
Peony Festival was a resounding success, was it not?
Amazing. There were thousands of people downtown.
I think there were, there's always some challenges, but every year it gets bigger, so it will continue to,
And better.
and get bigger and better, but
And credit
it's great
to,
for the city.
yeah, and credit to Kelly McVeigh and her team.
Lindsay.
Yeah, they did an incredible job. Any other comments?
Well, coming soon is the race weekend. For the first weekend in June will be the duck race and the Education Foundation race and the bed race. All in one weekend, so
Where's
get
the
prepared.
education race?
It is
It's like
a
a,
trivia race.
yeah.
Scavenger.
so what
Oh,
you're gonna-
trivia
Yeah,
race.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And if you are upset with how tonight went, Darren and I will be in the dunk tank.
Really?
Yeah.
I had that
I'm
opportunity last
there
year,
at
so.
noon, I don't know when Darren's there, but you can
Not
take it out.
together, not together.
Yeah, you can take it out on us, so,
Yes,
Please.
Larry and I had that joy last year.
yeah.
Save your dollars, and
Yes. Yeah,
it's for a good cause.
it is.
Are the duck race tickets for sale yet?
They are.
Where can I find
Our
those?
president
you
is
find
selling
those?
those.
Yeah, I emailed you to try and get you to buy some, but you didn't email me back,
What?
so.
Can
It's
people
fine.
still
He
get
will
them
take
at-
It's
your
fine, there are plenty of people on this dais that have,
He'll take their money after the meeting.
but yeah. Duck race tickets are still
Still
available
sale?
for purchase, yes. Okay, well, if there's no other comments, we will adjourn this meeting.
Best meeting ever.
Close
Yes,
the circuit.
wow,
Let me write you a check right now.
Best meeting ever.
I need to pay you.
that was something.
You're supposed to get